ban rate. He's currently undefeated at 5-0, and both SwordArt and Mata have played phenomenally with that champion.
Yeah, certainly have, but a little bit different as it does get taken off the board. You heard Clement talking about it. SwordArt is kind of the stealth Alistar. He finds his way behind enemy lines. Mata and RNG love to play front-to-back comps, so Mata does use it as a little bit more of an initiation tool there.
All right, taking a look at some of the rest of these bans. We've hit the Alistar. Sivir taken away by Flash Wolves. Azir denied. Now that's Xiaohu banning out the champion himself, despite being incredibly proficient on the pick, as well as Ezreal, Gravefollower. So Kindred still up, Nidalee still up as far as the jungle picks.
Yeah, and they're two that Mlxg very highly prizes. I mean, we saw his Graves yesterday. It is fantastic, but the jungle tier in the LPL does seem to be Nidalee, Kindred, everything else.
All right, last ban from Royal, never give up, is Mlxg. So just looking at the top lane picks, Ekko, still available, Poppy, still available, something that we've seen a number of times already.
What this tells me is Royal is confident they are better individual players than the LMS's Flash Wolves, because they've taken away Azir, which is kind of a nullifying pick. They've taken away the Mlxg, which is a nullifying pick. They've taken away an Ezreal, which is a nullifying pick. They want Flash Wolves to have to fight them early and not play this slow tempo macro game that we saw out of the Flash Wolves yesterday versus SKT.
All right, let's find out whether or not Flash Wolves buy into that strategy, of course. Taking their time on this first rotation with both Kindred and Nidalee up, you kind of think maybe not the highest priority, hence the Ekko first pick. And where would Royal go from here? Ryze is already locked in.
Yeah, and Ryze Kindred, what a powerful combo there. They flex the Ryze, Looper still does play it. Xiaohu more than comfortable on the champion as well. And we've seen that kind of, Nidalee has started falling off because you do need to be pushing up your lanes, allow that counter jungle or some early game pressure for her to be advantageous, whereas Kindred just gets better as the game goes on because does have that utility in the ult.
All right, so some scaling, some power. The Ryze, a little bit of a trap card this tournament. 4 wins, 3 losses overall.
Yeah, G2 is responsible for a couple of those, so, you know, I'm not sure correlation and causation are the same there.
Fair. I'll take that one. Perkz, of course, has played it a number of times already. And Flash Wolves respond with their duo lane, Thresh and Lucian. No big surprises. NL's got a very big, comfortable pick.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's a huge pick for NL. However, the Twitch is still available, and we saw Wuxx play it against the Lucian and is very comfortable in this regard. I love the blocking of the Thresh because it is definitely Mata's second best support here, and we'll see whether RNG do go for that hyperscaling comp one more time.
All right, hyperscaling or not? That is the question. They've already got some late game damage and utility from that Kindred as well as the Ryze. The ability to lock somebody down. Braum would be a good pick. Increase the amount of CC you can bring to the table. Saving their AD carry potentially for loss. What is available in the pool? We've seen the Jhin, we've seen the Twitch, and it will be a last pick ADC, maybe waiting for confirmation before they lock the rest.
They want to see if Maple goes Zed. That hover right there will kill a Twitch if it does come out. Also will make sure that Wuxx will struggle on Jhin as well, and the gauntlet's thrown.
Gauntlet thrown down. Look at the claps there from the Flash Wolves. Nidalee and Zed. Does Xiaohu opt into the matchup? Ryze v Zed, or does he go for what was an old school skill matchup, LeBlanc Zed?
Well, he kind of has to because Poppy's already been locked in here. So, you know, he's got the Ryze. Yeah, but this is really interesting because Wuxx wanted to play a very aggressive AD carry. Now he's hovering something like a Tristana because they acknowledge how skilled Maple is on that assassin pickup in the lane. That's why they left AD carry for last pick. They can still go team fight, but they're not going to get the amount of scaling.
It's going to be a little challenging as well for whatever AD carry gets locked in. There's so much mobility and utility from that Ekko, the Zed, the Nidalee. They can come from all sorts of angles and flanks. And if Wuxx locks this in, this is brave, because there's a lot of tools available to the LMS, and it is. The Rat's locked in.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is what they like playing against Lucian, so I'm not all of that surprised. Kindred's job now is to ensure that the Rat can get 5 auto attacks off. That's all you need on Twitch to be able to blow up an entire team, and Maple will be hunting him for dear life.
Let's find out if Maple's going to find him. Throwing the gauntlet down with the Zed lock-in, knowing it was going to be into that Ryze. And Wuxx confident on his Twitch.
And I'm actually really impressed with the Flash Wolves because they acknowledged the bans and they said, you know what? We will pick the winning lanes. We will get the aggressive jungler and we will play your game. And we'll see whether they're able to utilize that to beat them.
Hey, yesterday, both of these teams stepped up and took down SKT in slightly different fashions, but at the end of the day, they are now battling for first place. RNG undefeated at 4-0. Flash Wolves 3-1. Whoever wins this game will hold on to first position, because of course, in the case of a tie, the head-to-head will own belong to the winner of this match, Spawn.
Yeah, certainly will. Coaches shake hands there on stage. Everyone's locked in. This is going to be a very exciting game, as you said, for that top prize.
It's very exciting indeed because the team compositions are going to be very explosive. There's options here for pick, for some split push. There's even some team fight prowess that could come out from either of these teams. And you guys at home, just let us know, for the first time here on day 3, the last game of the first half of the round robin, will it be the LMS's Flash Wolves #FWN, or will RNG do it? Because they've won the Rift vote. More Chinese players are sporting that MSI icon.
Yeah, they certainly have. For the first time, China has been able to rise to the occasion and take down the LMS in owning the Rift. Have to see whether they can get it done on the Rift, however.
That's the case. Home colors have not worked out advantageous for all of the teams sporting it. And the crowd erupts as we load up.
And one thing about RNG, at least in my opinion, is they've had the most well thought out level 1s in the tournament. CLG have also stepped up in this regard, but you see one more time, they're looking for MMD's Ekko. They want to secure a lane swap here because Thresh, Lucian, that wipe steal bottom lane is just so potent, and they do not want to have to go toe-to-toe with NL and SwordArt.
No, definitely not the case, especially considering how well they have already performed, becoming a true threat. It's RNG that have started the invade shenanigans and seems to be mirrored by Flash Wolves down on the bottom half of the map. Not the deepest division there from SwordArt's Thresh. However, we'll give some additional information. Not particularly surprised by the Keystones. A slight difference on the Ryze here from Xiaohu. You've seen Perks running the wind speakers, if memory serves correctly.
Yeah, so it's whether you're against Control Mage or Assassin, Xiaohu not going to be really looking to kill the Zed in laning phase, just wants to scale up, get that tier, get the roller, get to about 25 minutes in. So you can expect that to come out with Strength of the Ages. Maybe the other one that people will be a little bit surprised of, although is becoming more popular, is the Fervor on Mlxg's Kindred. Very aggressive in the early game, wants to find the Nidalee who's running Strength. Yeah,
I've seen quite a few European jugglers running that one throughout the course of the EU LCS playoffs.
They're very similar in their aggressive counter jungling stuff.
Yep, definitely like to get in their opponent's faces. But Spawn, lane swap is on the cards. And we can see Flash Wolves sticking around this bottom lane. SwordArt going to try to get inside Royal's jungle and face. Damage advantage.
Looper is spotted, but didn't join a double jungle, is very far behind in experience right now because he got absolutely nothing. So going to have to join the top lane push as quickly as he possibly can. This is an area that honestly the whole of China has struggled with. IEM showed just how incompetent the region was during the lane swap. Thank you very much, Fnatic, for highlighting that incredibly well. And we'll see whether Mlxg, Looper, as well as that shot-calling Mata, has been able to shore up some of the mistakes, because Flash Wolves showed yesterday their 1-3-1 is very good.
If anything, we've seen from a number of players this tournament, when we asked questions, how will they perform? How will they handle lane swaps? The majority of the answers have been very well. G2 is the only one that's bucking that trend. However, Royal never give up. Shown, dare I say, more macro during the course of the last 2 days than we may have been used to or expecting.
Definitely agree with that, and I think that you also have to acknowledge why they want to play the map. They want to play the map to set up advantageous team fights. Flash Wolves, on the other hand, want to set up the map so they can take down structures, get that gold lead building. Then when they're ahead, they will team fight. So both teams are playing the map relatively well, but have completely separate goals in why they are doing so.
All right, take a look at this tower. Royal are slightly behind. As you can see, that tower is going to be good 5 to 10 seconds maybe in terms of tempo. And that'll allow Flash Wolves to begin making the decisions. You can already see MMD moving up, placing that very deep ward, wait to spot at your opponent duo, and then back away safely. It's that very standard lane swap that we've come to expect.
And you can see the couple of extra seconds gives them the Rift Scuttler, denies a mark, and also sets up a gank on Xiaohu. So we'll see whether they're able to use this one to create any advantage.
The CC needs to connect. Xiaohu, defensive flash. The flay, the death sentence is sidestepped, but it will not matter. It's Flash Wolves that get first blood.
Yeah, and they burned so much for it, but advantage Flash Wolves already in this game. Over-aggressive from Xiaohu. He stepped up to the minion wave. He didn't know where two members were, and he gets made punish.
Kill secured by Karsa, but look at all of the summoner spells invested. Flash Ignite for Mabel, Flash Ignite for SwordArt, and the Flash Exhaust from Xiaohu. We'll find out if that will be problematic, but I doubt it, as this lane swap will take a few more minutes to conclude.
Yeah, definitely. That's the, I guess, luxury you get if you get ahead in that tempo. You're able to make a risky move and not really get punished for it. You can already see NL, SwordArt, they're closer to the turret. They've already stacked up their wave nicely because Lupa wasn't able to push out as far as MMD. So tempo advantage firmly in the hands of Flash Wolves so far.
Giving themselves that gold advantage as well. And look how close they are to that top outer turret. NL and SwordArt are going to be able to start knocking on that door while Wuxx and Mata still just about to reach the river. So some advantages. Royal, though, they've decided to have a small counterplay.
Yeah,
Mata,
they want a turret dive here.
Winter's Bite. Maple's going to Living Shadow away safely. There's some support for the Wolves hanging around the river. And RNG going to start to back away. No further shenanigans breakouts.
But I don't even know if that's a right call because they've already lost Rift Scuttler one more time. Another Mark falls down. The duo's already on the turret, so they cost themselves more precious time in this lane swap. And it's only just now that RNG's wave will start taking down that tier 1. Flash Wolves might just be able to push through.
So big advantages beginning to grow and brew here for the Flash Wolves. After these second towers fall, the next question will be that Rift Herald, and where do they go after that? In Europe, it would be an inner turret, most likely on the other side of the map, but you can see some recalls from NL and SwordArt. Going to give MMD additional CS, additional experience, and most likely that tower gold as well.
So that's a little bit strange to me because, as you said, you would normally see them cheat off that turret, support jungler would go pick up Rift Herald, then when they would swap back one more time, look for that deep push, see if they can race RNG. However, they don't pick up either of the neutrals. They very much want to stay ahead as far as this CS advantage goes, but it's only really MMD, the main recipientary of that. Everyone else is still quite far, like quite even at this stage.
All right, Lupas should finish. One more hit from Minion. We'll take the tower down. I got a tad excited there. But look at Lupa, level 4 to level 4 of MMD. MMD is going to be able to get much closer to level 5 as he's in a Minion wave. And he's got a CS advantage. So Flash Wolves have accrued, honestly, what I think is a substantial lead just from the lane swaps.
At only 6 minutes in the game, I mean, gold is a percentage value just as everything else. So 1,000 gold at 10,000, they're 10% ahead in this game. A massive lead at only this side. As you can see, Fanboat very even, but so far, Flash Wolves showing that they're not going to get greedy in any of their plays and just happy to play the map.
Yeah, they did show a lot of control and patience during the course of yesterday's series. Taking a look at the inventories really quickly, a lot of pink wards picked up here for Royal Never Give Up. And in terms of warding, Mata's done a phenomenal job over the 4 games they've already played and placed a significant number of wards.
Yeah, he certainly has. I mean, they're the most pink warding team so far in the tournament. Able to pick up a lot. It's their use of the pink ward, I guess, if anything that I would criticize. They don't necessarily set up vision around the Baron or Dragon objective well. However, they will take over your jungle with that vision and try and get aggressive for Mlxg, who I think is proving to be a very strong jungler at this tournament. It's just not in the way that we're used to seeing these great teams set up around the neutral camps.
All right, Karsa's been able to sneak up into this jungle. Javelin, sidestepped. Whoosh. A little lucky on that one, although it wouldn't have made a huge difference. SwordArt and NL are going to continue shoving up.
And message already delivered. They want that to hit the turret so that they can't freeze it up, and Karsa throwing that spear delivers that message. They can no longer try and freeze because they have the extra man advantage. They also invade onto this blue buff. Mlxg trying to return the favor on the other side of the rift.
And another frustrating start to the game for Mlxg's Kindred. Another mark on that Rift Scuttler, rather, down in the bottom will be taken by Flash Wolves, as well as the first dragon of the game. And we have to touch on the dragons. Yesterday, Flash Wolves went 9-0. Day before, they went 4-7 in terms of dragons secured, dragons given up.
And this was my biggest criticism of them because this tournament is going late. Whether you think it is the right or wrong thing in the current meta, that's just a fact right now. It's a long average game time, and Flash Wolves weren't respecting that. They were playing very slow League of Legends, plotting League of Legends without picking up the necessary dragons, and CLG made them pay. Smithy able to steal one away as well. So I think that this is a good adaptation out of the Flash Wolves, showing that they're learning day to day in the current tournament meta that we've set up.
I think that's a very good point. The tournament meta growing as Mlxg, after an invade, is looking for Maple. The Flash Prison. Maple throws down the death mark. He dances away, but it may not be enough. Lamb's Respite is going to be available and needed for Mlxg. Here comes NL. He's got another for Flash Wolves, and the crowd is silenced as RNG are down 0-2.
Once again, 4 summoner spells burnt, but this time it's equalized on RNG, and Flash Wolves still get the trade because of a great reactionary play out of NL. Flashes in, heals his mid laner up, and this is going to burst the map wide open.
The tower will most likely fall here unless Royal really commit to the wave clear, and they do. Xiaohu burns through the last of his mana pool. And that's a lot of damage down. Flash Wolves, 2 kills up. They've got themselves a dragon. They've got a gold lead, and here's that replay.
Yeah, it certainly is. So you can see, smart play here. They flash in, they go aggressive on Maple, but he's such a good Zed player. Uses the ultimate to gap close, and that's really what it was about. Good communication, and now able to save up his mid laner. Unfortunately, Mlxg can't get behind Wuxx, and this is the big prize. Sure, the kill is nice, but mid lane turret, opening up the mid lane with a Zed on your team is going to be so good as the game progresses.
2,500 gold up just from their lane swap decision making. Flash Wolves have clearly won this early game. Now they need to transition into mid lane control, mid-game control.
So let's have a look at what they want to do now. They have a great 3-man unit. I mean, Karsa, NL, SwordArt. They're going to be able to automatically wave clear at least one wave with the culling. They can just be nice and patient, play to MMD and Maple's current strength, play the side lanes, and they can collapse if it ever gets to RNG grouping up in these fights, because when you look at it, they have a Ryze, they have the Twitch as well as the Kindred. This is a 5v5 team fighting comp out of RNG, and Flash Wolves are just never going to let them get to that stage.
No, they will not, if everything keeps going that way. And for Flash Wolves, it's all about control. You know, yesterday, they had a very controlled victory over SKT. Royal maybe took a little longer. However, they were going about in completely different ways. And if Flash Wolves can rechannel that similar style of performance, that map play, the vision, the decision making, it's going to be very difficult for RNG to find those 5v5s.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can already see that they want to be pushing up because they have the line of blue wards in the jungle right now of RNG. Marta and Mlxg have tried to replicate that to secure the Twitch farm. However, cannot do so on the top side of the map. So Loop is being forced off the wave. MMD is getting even bigger at this current point. In fact, he feels he can go first item Iceborne Gauntlet, which is so rare after the nerfs. And they have a legitimate job of getting to Wuxx's Twitch, whereas yesterday, I do not feel that was the case when it was locked in.
You just need to find out if they can do it. That's going to be the true test, right? Find those flanks, find the wards. Well, got pretty good vision in that bottom quadrant of the jungle. Flash Wolves trying to kind of mirror that up top. And Spawn, I know yesterday, off air, we discussed quite a lot about Wuxx's itemization in his build.
Yeah, so...
First item, Hurricane again.
Normally you would see a Blade of the Ruined King into something. Here we go. He's going to set up for a gank.
Let's find out. Wuxx is looking in for the ambush, and hello! NL's just going to dash away. Yeah, I got a bit excited.
Well played by NL there, but that's what they kind of want to do. So you normally see Bork into Hurricane into IE. However, Wuxx likes the activatable items. So goes towards something like the Ghostblade second for a little bit more damage. Will mean that he doesn't have the lifesteal to try and tank up Maple. So really it's about the Kindred. You think this is kind of crazy for a Twitch. He needs lifesteal. Kindred just needs to keep him alive for long enough to kill everyone. Afterwards, Wuxx can die. Like, his job is already done. So pressure on Mlxg and Wuxx to be on the same page during these team fights and flanks.
Luckily for Mlxg, he gets his hands on that Rift Herald after Flash Wolves kind of done goofed. Let it reset, pulled it a little too far, trying to be too cheeky, but it's Flash Wolves that have got exceptional tower pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4-man stack down bottom, but Looper has arrived just in time, and Flash Wolves don't fully commit, but this will be another blue steal. That's 2 back-to-back. May as well call him Zoolander at this point in time.
Yeah, it certainly is. However, top side of the map has kind of belonged to RNG because they've been able to do something similar, whereas bottom side of the map definitely belonging to Flash Wolves right now. I want to talk about what that actually did, however, because Wuxx has to duck into Fog of War. He can't pressure that lane. Right now, MMD's even probably stronger than him, so he doesn't want to challenge for farm. So right now, they're trying to secure Looper farm, get him tankier in this mid game. However, it's coming at the cost of their hyper carry now because they've traded him away from where they had all of that vision set up earlier. So RNG trying to jockey for position, but it feels like Flash Wolves are always the first one to the punch.
Yeah, definitely the case. I mean, they've been dictating the tempo of the game. You know, deciding. They didn't really initiate the lane swap, however, responded better to it.
Yeah.
You could argue predicted it, so to speak. It was a lane matchup that, Spawn, even you were mentioning, you didn't really want to step into if you were Royal Never Give Up. But what does this mean for the next few minutes?
For the next few minutes, immediate power has been picked up by the Flash Wolves. I mean, Youmuu's, you look at Essence Reaver, it's just such a good first item for NL. However, this game is not going to explode for quite some time because they still need to continue to set up their side wave and continue to stack these dragon advantages. And what this does against a team like Royal, who doesn't like giving up dragons for free, they're trying to draw them out of the jungle, trying to make them make that first mistake so they can capitalize in a big way. So Royal trying to do a good job of consolidating their own vision, not give anything else up.
Good damage already. Royal don't want to give up. Glacial Fissure into the pit. There's one lantern taken. Maple's going to have his Living Shadow. All flash still. Even cheeky. Pit against the wall. Maple forced to flash. Gets the heal down from Karsa. And the fight is on. Marta's unbreakable. Will be broken. Death sentence. Flay. Box. Marta's taken down. NL have got themselves the hat trick of kills. NL standing on the front line. The dragon's still up. Rat-a-tat-tat. No one from Flash Wolves goes splat. Kindred will secure the dragon at NL. He's down. Looper's on the board. And Royal did not give up. Now Mlxg is chasing MMD. Chrono Break's already been channeled, used. It's a jungler on jungler battle, but it's Mlxg that's coming away worse for wear. I take it back as MMD is the top laner, pins Looper into the wall, and that's going to be another for Royal.
And Looper goes massive in the team fight. He catches out Maple to burn his flash, make sure the mid laner isn't there, catches NL, and then sets up the last kill on MMD. So the top laner, formerly of Samsung White and Masters 3, playing much better League of Legends this time around and securing RNG, the first big objective of the game.
And a team fight success. So here's a replay. Maple decides to stick around this pit a long time.
Yeah, he certainly does. He wants to see whether he can get any cheeky engages, but Looper just nails him here, and they're able to put down too much damage. So already that big advantage that Flash Wolf secured in the mid lane, useless. And sure, Marta gets blown up here, but it's all about the top laner from Royal. Just watch his positioning. He's playing at the front of the team fight along with Xiaohu. And anytime anyone steps into that danger zone, he's just willing to pop them.
Definitely the case here now, just a great pin. And Looper, you know, he knocked Karsa away from the dragon. He pins NL against the wall, and he's even going to finish off MMD from around the corner.
And this is something that you have to state. If you are running a 5v5 teamfight comp and your tank is stronger, it is so much easier to execute on the game because you have longer time where you don't have to play the cleanest of League of Legends. It affords you an extra mistake in there. And now with the 2 kills picked up, completed Sunfire Cave, no greedy Sheen purchase out of Looper. He's going to get tankier faster and become a monster.
And I want to talk about Looper a little bit more because there was a fair amount of discussion around the top laners, who's going to be good, who's going to be bad, and Looper didn't have the highest expectations coming in.
Well, the reason is he came off Samsung White, where people said he was good, but the rest of the team kind of overshadowed him, into a team with Dade called Masters 3, and they were abysmal. They fought out of relegation twice in the LPL, and honestly, Looper didn't have the best of years. However, now coming back to Royal, teaming up with Marta, using those teleport plays once again, and a much heavier tank meta seems to suit the top laner of Royal, and has begun to reassert himself in the LPL, and now at MSI is one of the dominant top laners.
Yeah, and of course, that backup or that additional frontline in Marta has been good. Marta made so many questionable decisions during the spring split. The number of times that Marta just wandered into enemy jungle, wandered into enemy territory and gave up deaths, that's kind of what I was expecting, but it's not happened in this 5 games.
Well, the funny thing is when Marta joined Vici with Dandy, they were so macro heavy. They were one of the only teams in the LPL that did play macro, but they said it was because their carries weren't as good. When Marta teamed back up with Wuxx, Xiaohu, Mlxg, he got a little bit reckless. He was willing to make these big plays. Now, however, he's also showing some discipline and patience. Looper, you're in trouble.
Oh, it's a 3v1. Deathmark is going to be available. The Flay holds Looper in place. Karsa gets knocked away. Deathmark is proccing. When the pop goes down, it's not going to be enough for the kill. Looper survives for a few seconds longer. Flash from NL. Flash Wolves are looking for another one. Looper is still alive and makes it away from 4.
And all of a sudden, the first mistake of the game from Flash Wolves, because meanwhile, they get cross-mapped, they lose a turret for free, and they burn so much. Triple summon a spell one more time. Ignite, Flash from NL, and SwordArt, and they still don't get their man.
The thing is, everybody's been saying Flash Wolves. They've used to play a fast game, looking for some aggression. They've got these early game champions. They're trying to make those plays, but it just didn't pay off quite as well as it could have.
And you must think it's because they don't want this to get to very late game. Mlxg, Wuxx, Xiaohu are all going to outscale their opponent. As we take another look at this, Looper just so calm, dodges out on the spear, holds all of his cooldowns, dodges out a hook, gets rid of his man there in the jungler Karsa, and just is able to kite around turret after turret. NL's flash is greedy here because it's probably not worth a flash. They could have just secured the turret instead, but they'd already spent so much on the kill. He felt like he had to get his man.
Especially with a minute and a half till the next dragon. We've already seen Royal willing to contest despite being in a deficit.
And even though it looks like Wuxx is behind in gold, he's up in items because he's completed our 2 versus components on NL's side. Also, Twitch's ultimate is just going to mean much more in these engages. You take another look, you know, a very good Hex drinker purchase here out of Mlxg because he needs to be able to survive MMD, who's going to be diving that back lane as well, along with Karsa. So I just think that for now, even though gold is still in Flashpool's favor, they're going to have a slight advantage. This is a greedy play.
And you can hear the crowd. They're up in arms. MMD will be able to spot this out in a moment or two. NL will be running up from the mid lane, and I think wisely, Royal back away. That was within 5 seconds of Baron spawning.
Yeah, it certainly was. They had the Rift Herald with them as well. So that was an interesting play because they don't really have someone right now who they want to throw against Maple in the bottom lane. He is the strongest member for Flash Wolves. So they try and control that objective. They don't get it, but they wisely back away without burning too much. And
important to note, MMD is teleport available. It's only a 1 TP aside game. Looper burned his recently. Flash forward for NL. The Rat-a-tat-tat will be thwarted by the Lantern, but Royal may get a lot of damage onto this turret. The culling comes down to clear the way. Teleporting from behind from MMD. Remember, it is still available. Looper has to run from the bottom lane, but Maple does too. Parallel convergence stuns nobody. A good time winder will buy some time. Mata burned his flash already, and luckily Royal never give up, make it away without any problems.
Yeah, but a lot burnt there, you know, double summoner spells out of Xiaohu, a splash out of Mata as well, kind of kills any engage they have, so they're going to have to give up another dragon. You understand the idea to pick mid lane to try and burst open the map, but just didn't pay off as NL and SwordArt kind of reacted appropriately.
And I think you have to give SwordArt some praise. That's the second time an engage has happened mid lane. SwordArt's been close enough that that Lantern has been valuable, has been somewhat reading Royal, and right at the right place at the right time for the Wolves.
And I just love that we get to talk about 2 of the classiest support players in the world. SwordArt has picked up majority of that shot calling now that Stake is the coach. Mata has always done it in his career. 2 of the best in the business going head to head on champions like Thresh. It's just so fun to watch.
And now if you expand that discussion a little further, Flash Wolves, you know, they've got the same team from Worlds last year. They've been through different metas. They've explored last year's lane swap to this year's lane swap. And it just seems like they are a very well-oiled unit at this point in time, you know, surprising many from what we're expecting from their LMS region.
Yeah, and it doesn't really surprise me all that much that even though these teams are equally skilled, they play different styles of League of Legends because it's what you just mentioned, you know, a team that has been together for so long that have this refined style of gameplay against a brand new Royal Never Give Up who are, you know, a little bit down and dirty, a little bit scrappy, equally talented, but willing to get in there and kind of just throw themselves at the opponents. And it's very interesting to see when these conflicting styles come together because teleport honestly doesn't mean that much against Royal because they make you burn it so often reactionary. You saw, we were talking about MMD, he has the teleport advantage. What do? They try and blow up NL. All of a sudden, teleport's back to equal because they're willing to make that aggressive play.
So maybe mind gaming it as well. Royal forcing the hand of Flash Wolves.
They're back to Baron one more time as well. They're hovering that area. Something that we criticize them about, they haven't been able to control Rift Scuttler. They haven't double pink worn Baron, as all teams should know at this level to secure themselves vision, but they definitely gravitate towards that part of the map.
Hey, look, it helps force a team fight, right? And when you've got a team comp that is great at 5v5, as you've mentioned...
If you set it up correctly. SKT were kind of like, we're just not going there because we know you're not doing it, so really does need to be tightened up, but that is something you can learn overnight. A coach can pull you aside and be like, hey, just, you know, get a couple of pink wards instead of the one that you're used to because they are buying them. It's just the position that's a little bit off.
Let's find out if they can. That was Mlxg's second mark of the Kindred, by the way, 23 minutes. A little unlucky and a little bit controlled by his opponents, but that is, of course, because Flash Wolves have that dominant lane swap start and we're moving just a few steps quicker. I think they got 3 scuttles back-to-back before Mlxg got his hands on the first one.
Yeah, it certainly is interesting because he's sated, so he's done a good job of farming, but it just hasn't been on the camps that he wants to. At the same time, Karsa has picked up his roller, had it for a while now. I don't mind roller. Like, people are going to be like, it's a fantastic item. I do agree. I just think that Ryze has kind of taken its place and offers a little bit more towards the latter stages of the game. I would like to see him go both in this matchup because he does need to be able to dive the Twitch and put a lot of pressure down.
We'll find out if he gets his hands on that Ryze later in the game. And the Twitch picked up that agility cloak, has the Ghost Blade and the Hurricane, so same build to what we saw yesterday. I wonder about Maple. I want to keep my eyes on how his Deathmark impacts the game, because you don't really want to be jumping on a Looper or Xiaohu with the shield. Then there's going to be a mark of the Kindred, and Whoosh eventually should pick up that QSS, but at 25 minutes in, 0-0-2 on Maple Z and down 50 CS, that's not a great start for one of the mid laners we're expecting to really carry this game.
Especially when you burn double summoner spells on Xiaohu early in the game. This should have been a lane that Karsa could have got into, but at the same time, the lane swap kind of dictated where he had to be on the map as well. You can see GA is going to be the third item out of Xiaohu. You don't want to ult Looper. I really do think his job becomes, can you pick Marta when he goes for deep vision and control that area of RNG's play? Because he is so important to the initiations, as Afro pointed out in his interview after day one. So it could be an area they look at.
And you have to ask the questions from Maple. It was a last rotation Z. Where does it start becoming impactful? Dragon's going to be up in a minute and a half. We've had fights around the last few. And Mlxg, another, I'm going to say interesting build. Yesterday his Graves was very, very aggressive, and he's picked up another Phantom Dancer.
Yeah, so that's because he wants to be able to survive the burst out of Maple as well. So tag him with the Phantom Dancer, get yourself the Sterix as your fourth completed item, and just live through this Zed's burst damage. It takes away another target from Maple to be able to blow up. Not to mention, I guess, Lamb's Respite is always going to be available. So they are making Maple's job incredibly difficult. And this is something that the Chinese teams do like to do. They like to target out your best player. They did it at MSI versus Faker and say, sure, we're happy for anyone else on this team to beat us, but we will not let Maple Z get that snowball going.
That doesn't seem to be the case. Flash Wolves threw everything in the kitchen sink at Royal in the early game, multiple times. Got themselves an advantage, but that is now truthfully negligible.
Yeah. And let's get honest, like Lucian versus Twitch, the advantage is nullified because Twitch is 1,500 gold better than Lucian at this stage of the game, just through his ultimate, if they can set up correctly. So
luckily for NL, he is 1,500 gold up thanks to 60 CS advantage. So that will help share or soften rather the weaknesses in terms of that kit from the Rat-a-tat-tat stats. But you can't deny those gigantic differences, 50 in the mid lane with Xiaohu winning, and then obviously 60 for NL.
And this is actually something that Deficio pointed out to me. NL will get a lot of side farm that in other regions would go to Maple. Even though they're a 1-3-1 team, if a big lane stacks up, normally where you send your mid laner, Flash Wolves do send their AD carry player. And you can see that Xiaohu has been the beneficiary of that, and NIL has not. And
the teleport's being channeled by MMD. He's arrived north of the river. Looper held onto his. There's a lot of poison stacks on this Dragon. It's being focused, but the Dragon's reset. Looper's pinned Karsa against the wall. Dragon secured by Royal. The box is down, splitting up the river. MMD's jump forward. Lamb's Respite means nobody will die yet until Maple is knocked away. Pinned against the wall. Xiaohu flashes forward, taking down the damage dealer of NL, while Karsa was killed off on the back line. SwordArt's in trouble. Prison down. A flash forward from Mlxg. They're going to continue the chase. SwordArt lands a death sentence, but it will only cost him his life.
They got him all.
Ace for Royal never give up, and they peel for Baron.
Straight away they go towards a Baron objective, and this is a team fighting team like Flash Wolves were not prepared for. Looper again pouncing like a cat onto an overextending carry in Karsa and able to take him down, then tackle someone out of the Lamb's Respite. Royal are playing such good team fighting League of Legends.
Exceptionally well played. They grab their second Dragon, and Ace and the Baron. And they are now in complete control with a 3K gold lead.
Let's take another look at this, and once again, just watch Looper, because he's having a sensational series. Steps forward, pins Karsa straight away. They blow him up, has no part in this team fight, able to occupy the front line because of those extra tanky stats, and then knocks Maple out of the Lamb's Respite to take him down as well. From there, it's just cleanup duty for the rest of the team. But hats off to Looper. Such a rough 2015 season. 2016 seems to be making a huge mark.
Whoosh flashing forward for that kill, and no hesitation on the Baron. Royal are 4-0 coming into this game. They lost the laning phase by a fair margin, but found a team fight, found a way to get back into it.
And this is the risk of prioritizing neutrals against Royal. We say it all the time, they're just looking for any excuse to fight you right now. You know, if you want to extended lane, if you want to teleport into their bottom lanes, Royal will just stay in laning phase forever like they did versus Edward Gaming in the final and fight you down there. If you want to group around Dragon or Baron, they will fight you there. The way you beat this team is by separating the map. Flash Wolves should be able to do that with Ekko, with the Zed, and open it up for a 1-3-1, but they have not been doing it because every time they try, Royal goes aggressive.
And currently is winning every single aggressive move. Lupa's just finding so many of those heroic charges into the walls. 204 has teleport available and Baron buff pushing down bottom.
And those first 2 kills could not have gone to a better player because he is tanky enough to make these plays. He has absolutely no fear of anyone in the Flash Wolves lineup.
None whatsoever, nor the rest of Royal. Guardian Angel on Xiaohu, Infinity Edge for Wuxx, more Mortius for Mlxg. Like everybody is just getting tankier and tankier, and they've got so much damage to back it up as well.
Yeah, and such a cute composition as well. Even their squishy members aren't squishy because all they need is a couple of seconds to blow someone up in the Lamb's Respite. And now they want to go aggressive on Lupa. That was a weird ult.
Yeah, didn't need to pull the trigger. Could have just gone full helicopter for that one.
The poppycopter.
Yep, that's it. Allowed it to wear off. But it will give some time for Royal in this middle lane. Get a couple of autos down at least. Wuxx will finally step forward. Wow, 50-60% of the tower is dropped in what feels like an instant.
And this was all generated off Xiaohu's GA pickup because now all of a sudden he is also a frontliner. Didn't go for a Void Staff because there's not all of that much magic resistance picked up so far. I mean, it is gold efficient because of the Aegis, but it's just not worth it because now he can approach turrets, zone away NL, who is pretty much a 500 range AD carry at this stage. And he caught him out.
They have indeed. NL's in trouble. He's been knocked up into the air by the Fisher, forced to flash away defensively. The tower goes down, but Royal are stood on top. Lamb's Respite. MMD's caught without support, and he does manage to make it away thanks to that Z-Drive resonance. The inhibitor will fall. RNG have opened the base.
And such disciplined play one more time out of Royal. It's like watching the best of the team from the LPL without any of their sloppy tendencies. They win a team fight. They don't get kills, but they don't chase. They secure the inhibitor and back away.
Absolutely clean. 5,000 gold in the lead. Baron will be wearing off shortly, but it doesn't matter because Supers will keep Flash Wolves locked inside their base.
And I want to talk about NL's item build. In the LPL, going Infinity Edge third on Lucian is seen to be very greedy because if you don't have the lifesteal, if you don't have the QSS versus the Ryze, you will get blown up time and time again. This is a couple of times we've seen it in this tournament. They want maximum damage out of their AD carries, but it's just not working out in their favor.
No, it is not. And NL is being shut down despite the strong farm, despite the strong start to the game. And Spawn, LPL, Royal never give up. Look to take down every region that has stood in front of them. If they can just continue this control now that they've regained the reins.
What an important moment for the region as well, after what was honestly a very disappointing, almost someone called it disgraceful Worlds performance.
Oh wow, look at Mlxg. He's sidestepping everything. Challenges 4 members of the Flash Wolves, and with Xiaohu's help, comes out ahead. Here comes Lupa for the first time this game, finds no stun, but the verdict is Flash Wolves, you will be defeated. Lupa continues to chase down. 2 members of the Wolves are down.
And all of a sudden, they just cannot be stopped. Mlxg looking confident in his play. Honestly, they're looking to end the game.
They certainly are. Turn their attention to the top. Not yet. Super Minion will tank up. There's a GA for Xiaohu. 5v3 for another 20 seconds. And the Nexus turret will be falling. Lupa is on the front line, tanking up the minute.
They can't get in.
There's nothing that Flash Wolves can do. The Fisher comes down to split up Flash Wolves' attempt. And all Maple can do is buy some time. Royal never give up. Take down the Nexus and stand on top of the world. Undefeated. 5-0 at the mid-season Invitational.
And after a sloppy early game, Royal smashed the Flash Wolves in 33 minutes. I mean, Xiaohu, massive. Mlxg, huge in this performance. Wuxx does his job. You cannot underestimate the Chinese carry on this superstar team.
Crowd erupts as Royal leave their seats. It was looking scary for Royal in the first 15, 20 minutes of the game. They were under a lot of pressure. They were behind in gold. They were behind in tempo. But they were able to find a dragon fight that turned it all around.
Yeah, and what this shows is that 1-3-1 will work against Royal. You can get the early lead, but you need to be disciplined and not take the team fights that they present to you, because that is their game. And Flash Wolves fell straight into that trap.
Flat on their faces into that trap.